Hello everybody, this is Thewalruswaspawl doing my second video, and it is a review on the GameBoy Advance handheld system. It's got a horizontal setup. If you've seen an SP, you'll know that it's a vertical setup with a screen on the top and buttons below. This is more like a game controller kind of setup where you put your hands on the side. You got a D-pad, start and select button, starts on top, select on bottom. A pretty big game screen compared to Game Boy Color or Game Boy. B and A buttons, the speaker right here, the power light which lights when the power's on, R and L triggers, exterior input where you stick like link cables and the GameCube hookup cord, the where you put the game slot. On the bottom you have the headphone jack and the volume wheel, which is actually a wheel, unlike SP where you just slide the little button up and down. This takes 2 batteries, unlike SP and DS where you have to charge them in the wall. The battery life's actually pretty long, and you won't really need to worry about changing batteries very often. The one complaint that I have about this handheld system is the fact that it does not have a lighted screen. So you could be playing in the dark or something, you can't see your screen, it's pretty much hopeless. So they used to sell accessories where you could clip on a lighting fixture on it so you could see in the dark. But when they came out with the SP, they fixed that by giving it a lighted screen. Other than that, there's really nothing wrong with the system. It's 32 bits, so it's for its time it was very good graphics for a handheld system, same as the PS1. It plays Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, and Game Boy Advance games. So you can use all the systems that you had before that if you did. They all fit into the slot rather well. So let's start it up. This game, GT Advance 3, I thought would be a good choice because it really showcases its graphical abilities. So here's the game, GT Advance. So it goes in this slot right here, face up. Now here's the startup noise. It's a bit better than the Game Boy Color startup noise. The display's actually pretty good with the colors. GT3. So it's 3-dimensional, the card's spinning around in a circle, if you can't tell. Different card companies, so it holds a lot of memory on these cartridges. Okay, so here's the race. So you can see how the gameplay graphics are. So it's actually pretty good 3D. It looks almost exactly like my PlayStation does. Turns. It's well graphicized. Now, that's the Game Boy Advance game, so it was full screen. For Game Boy and Game Boy Color, the screens were much smaller. As you can see here, that's bigger than that. So, and you can also tell that that cartridge is bigger than Game Boy Advance cartridges, so it will stick out, but it still works. It's the Game Boy. And if you hit the L and R triggers, this size screen is the regular Game Boy Color size screen. if you hit the L trigger, it'll go to a widescreen, which I don't really like because then the graphics get even more fuzzy than they were. And if you're playing Pokemon, all the people look really fat. It's kind of annoying when you're playing. The sounds a little better than it would on a Game Boy or Game Boy Color. The colors are also a little better. Game Boy Color, they get a little hazy. The speaker's a bit louder. So, fits Game Boy games. Fits Game Boy Color games too. Pretty much the same, except one has a bit better graphics. And so it does the same regular screen, widescreen. Good colors. So overall, if you're going to get a Game Boy Advance system, SP or a Game Boy Advance, I'd go with SP just for the sole fact that it has lighting. But this one is, I believe it's a bit cheaper if you find it at stores, by $10 maybe. And it's a good buy if you're a little short on money. Also, I'll show you how you use this exterior port here. I have a wireless adapter that used to come with games like Pokemon. So, I can stand this up. There we go. There's the port that fits right into there. There you go. Just clips right into the top. And it's compatible with games like the Pokemon games. I know, like Leaf Green, Fire Red, Emerald, Sapphire, blah blah blah. You can use these as link cables. They also work with games that use link cables, like some of the Super Mario Advance games I know do, to play with another Game Boy Advance. But you also need another Game Boy Advance, obviously, on the other side with one of these, or a link cable, which also fits in that slot. It doesn't have to clip. Also, the GameCube link cables work on there to plug it in. So, basically, overall, I'd say it's a good system. DS and everything obviously are better, but this came 10 years before, and it has a pretty good game library, nice graphics, they're fun to play. So, would I buy this? Yes, I would, but again, I would rather buy the SP because of the lighted screen. Other than that, there's no difference. So, thanks for watching, please subscribe, and rate 5 stars, like, whatever.